That the Prime Minister is personally furious with now former Vice President Jagdeep Dhankhar is well established with his terse send-off tweet. But the mystery as to what caused the sudden resignation, and it's quite clear that Mr. Dhankhar was asked to go, has only deepened. Many believe at the heart of this mystery lies the case around Justice Yashwant Verma, the judge who was accused of having stacked the outhouse in his residence with sacks of unaccounted cash. Justice Verma himself has petitioned the Supreme Court against an imminent impeachment motion. I'm Barkha Dutt, you're with the Mojo Story. On the program today, we try and get to the bottom of this central question. Was an impeachment motion against Justice Yashwant Verma moved by the opposition and admitted and accepted by Jagdeep Dhankhar when he was still vice president at the heart of the BJP's fury with him? Remember, the centre had readied its own petition to move against the judge who came to be known as the cash at home judge. His case is ongoing in the Supreme Court with Kapil Sibal, ironically, otherwise a critic of the government, batting for Yashwant Verma in the Supreme Court today. Jagdeep Dhankhar also had to decide on another petition, this one against Allahabad High Court, an Allahabad High Court judge who used a communal slur for a particular religious community. In fact, on the day that he quit, he spoke about that petition as well. As I said, it's quite clear that the Prime Minister was personally furious with him. That much was clear from Modi's own tweet, a very uncharacteristically terse tweet that did not even pretend that he saw or he regretted to see Jagdeep Dhankhar step down from his post. Is whatever's happening and unfolding have anything to do with the fact of the larger power play within the Sangh Parivar? Remember, the BJP is yet to choose its party president, and there have been some, I would imagine, animated discussions on between the RSS and the BJP as to who this person should be. Now it has another significant berth to fill, that of the vice president. What's actually going on here? That Dhankhar was asked to go doesn't appear to be any sort of secret. Is this directly linked to the cash at home judge case? Is it linked to something else? That's what we'll try and decode on the program today. Let me introduce our guests as the opposition, at least the Trinamool Congress, makes the dramatic claim that A. Rajat Singh will be the next vice president. This is what TMC MPs are saying on record in Parliament. And B, that Jagdeep Dhankhar was threatened with impeachment against him if he did not resign by 9 p.m. on the day that he finally announced that he was stepping aside. Joining me now is Sugata Srinivasan, veteran journalist and author. Good to see you, Sugata. Also joining me is Tehseen Poonawalla, supporter of the Congress party. Does he believe the opposition has played its cards right for once? We'll find out in a moment. Rajat Sethi, political analyst, is with us. Good to see you, Rajat. And also joining me is senior advocate Sanjay Hegde, because remember, there are at least the stories of two judges linked to this resignation, maybe not in a direct way, but certainly that is what the whispers in the national capital suggest. I want to actually start by getting first comments from you, Tehseen. You support the Congress party. The Congress has spent a lot of its time, along with other opposition parties, calling Jagdeep Dhankhar a partisan judge who has, taken sides and not shown neutrality. Suddenly, he's being seen as the rebel, the courageous man who stood up for constitutional principles. How can Mr. Dhankhar be both? What do you make of resignation, which should actually be called a sacking?
Good evening, Barkha. Thank you so much for having me on the show. Good evening to all your viewers and to my fellow panelists. So let's go to what happened, and I'll tell you exactly in the last one and a half month what happened. There were two issues that had irked the government. Before we come to Justice Verma, you're absolutely right. You've got this bang on. It is Justice Verma. But a day before Justice Verma and the impeachment, there was another thing that happened. But a month and a half ago, and I'm telling you this from the top boys in the government, absolute top, there were two demands that the vice president made. Number one, he asked, why is only the president's picture and I'm not making this up, only the president's picture and the prime minister's picture put up? Why is his picture not put up? It's not made up. And
put
it
up
tried
where?
to explain.
Put up
like airports, for example, airports and other places, formal places. So if you go to an airport lounge, You'll always see the president's, Her Excellency the President's picture, and the Honorable Prime Minister's picture. Our boy wanted his picture also put up. Our man wanted his picture put up. And then the second thing, these are small things. He also wanted some of the cars from the Prime Minister's security. Now, you know, Barkha, that is SPG. That's not tampered with. That's completely different protocol. So he kept believing, listen, if he's number 2, he must be one above. So these are small clashes. A day before Parliament started, he met Arvind Kejriwal ji. Now, he tells Arvind Kejriwal ji that you need to come into Parliament. Arvind Kejriwal ji is like, I've already promised, I won't come to Parliament. Let the party decide. And he says, listen, not that you're the man to keep your word. We all know your history. If you come to Parliament, and I'm again saying what he tells Arvind Kejriwal ji, you de facto become the opposition in Rajya Sabha. And the India Alliance will gravitate towards you. This had sent alarm bells ringing, because one thing between the BJP and the Aam Aadmi Party, between the Prime Minister and Arvind Kejriwal, the communication is broken down, particularly after Arvind Kejriwal ji accused the BJP of committing a genocide in Delhi prior to the elections. That is unforgivable. Then starts Parliament. And this is what happens when that impeachment motion, we know that in Lok Sabha there was a motion moved that had both the treasury benches as well as the opposition signatures on it, including the honorable leader of opposition signature on it. Our man not only takes it from the opposition 50-60 MPs who signed it, he also admits it. In between, there is one more thing that happens. So Parliament was not supposed to work on the first day. However, Rajya Sabha functioned, and Kharge ji goes on an offensive, where Kharge ji spoke about the Trump mediating between Prime Minister Modi and Asim Munir, India and Pakistan. If you see the clip of that Parliament session, Nadda ji gets up, and this is something I used brutally against the BJP, and Nadda ji is so frustrated because Nadda ji is a guy who keeps his calm, right? Nadda ji always keeps his calm. He's made one mistake prior to the election, but generally keeps his calm. He's telling the vice president and chairperson, this will not go on record. Imagine BJP telling the chair what will go on record and what not.
Can I play that? Because
please.
We have that clip. Let's play the clip that Tehseen is talking about. It's basically JP Nadda standing up and basically taking over the role of Mr. Dhankar and deciding what should be expunged. Let's take a look at this.
आज दिन तक आजादी के बाद इस तरीके का ऑपरेशन नहीं हुआ जो प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में हुआ है. I am not going into the details of it, but I would like to tell you. अरे गुस्सा मत करो भैया, अरे गुस्सा मत करो. Nothing will go on record. Whatever I will say, that will go on record. You should know. तो मैं ये बता रहा हूं कि सभापति जी श्रमिक भट्टाचार्य ने ऑन अवर ओन अंडर रूल 167 ऑपरेशन सिंदूर के बारे में चर्चा रखी है बिजनेस एडवाइजरी कमेटी में. आप समय तय करेंगे. भारत सरकार मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में हर बात की चर्चा करने के लिए तैयार है और हम चर्चा करेंगे.
Okay, so this is
completely lost it. The BJP loses it here. See, and also look, think from the BJP's perspective. Not that I like them too much. They have a trade deal to do with US. They don't want to piss off Donald Trump. And here, if this goes on record, they are not sure what to respond. And it's not the first time he's got the BJP in trouble. You remember he took the law minister to task, asking him what's happening about putting judges in order with the NJC. So the law minister then somehow made some, in the last session, made some statement up and ended it. And he kept taking on the judges. So the BJP was very uncomfortable. And then comes in these signatures and he admits this petition and he announces it around 4 p.m. In the meanwhile, all BJP MPs now are rushed to Rajnath Singh ji's office, where on a blank paper, 50 or 60 of them sign. Now what happens in the night is very interesting, because till now Jagdeep Dhankhar ji is healthy. We must tell your viewers, March he was unwell, but he was perfectly healthy. His schedule show he's supposed to travel to Jaipur. He's hosting the BAC meeting the next day. Nadda ji speaks about it. So he's in the pink of health so far. But now, in the evening, somebody high-ranking calls up the Vice President of India, like a top bureaucrat, and tries to explain to the Vice President that, listen, I mean, at least take the government into confidence. And our strategy was Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Jagdeep Dhankhar ji wants the same cars as the Prime Minister, and his pictures up, tells the bureaucrat in no unclear words that you are talking to the Vice President of India. So, ठीक से बात करो, उप राष्ट्रपति से बात कर रहे हो. After that, Jagdish Dhankhar ji gets a call, and Jagdish Dhankhar ji realizes 50 signatures are there on a blank paper, and I won't tell you who's called him, but he's told very clearly who the boss is. And after that, what happens at 9:30 is happened. But look,
Look, to cut it short, you've given a number of
that's it.
reasons that I want to go to Rajat. But one is that Jagdeep Dhankar wanted his own tasveer with that of the president and the prime minister. You also make the point that his meetings with Kejriwal raised a lot of eyebrows. Then, of course, there's this face-off that happens with JP Nadda and Jagdeep Dhankar, and then finally, the centre has drafted its own impeachment motion against Justice Verma, but Mr. Dhankar goes and admits the opposition petition. Can I bring in Rajat? Do you agree with Tehseen's reading? And Tehseen, in short, you actually think you're not surprised that the BJP asked Mr. Dhankar to go then? Just very briefly before Rajat comes in. You're not surprised then?
Yeah, if I was prime minister, the prime minister's tweet was colder than the winters in the North Pole. But if I was prime minister, my tweet would have been a little more harsher. You don't do this. The prime minister runs the country. Even though I'm in opposition, you can't have president and vice president running the country. Then we'll fail as a democracy. I'm sorry. You got to talk to the government.
Okay, so Rajat, this is Tehseen as a sort of responsible critic of the government, as I think is how he would identify himself, and he's saying his tweet on Jagdeep Dhankar would have been colder. What I don't understand is the timing. I mean, why would you do this the first day of the monsoon session? What happened on Monday afternoon? Because till 4 p.m., Mr. Dhankar's office had announced his travel schedule for the rest of the week. He was going to be in Jaipur on the 23rd. On the day that he quit, he was clarifying why Justice Shekhar Yadav, another judge of the Allahabad High Court, why that impeachment motion could not proceed. There was a technicality there and so on. What do you think happened? And do you think that it has served the government's narrative well? Or do you think it is, in a way, like caused eyebrows raised about what's actually going on in the back channels at a time when the BJP is yet to choose its next president?
So, two, three things, Barkha, in my assessment. First, I don't see that everything had fallen apart. Otherwise, the media would have got a whiff of it, and there would have been articles published around it. So it's not something which is as explicit as we are trying to put forth here. Second thing that I understand is that Prime Minister Modi, his critics can go on criticizing him for various centralizing aspects that he brings to the table, but there is something about him that he respects protocols, he respects the chair, he respects what authority in the constitution is given. He's a very, very particular about these aspects, and he knows that a vice president's chair needs to be accorded due respect. But if he has been forced to take such an extreme step, I believe something ironclad has broken. It is not petty matters here and there or small things here and there. Either things have just accumulated in a very, very short span of time, or something even major has broken in. Otherwise, I don't see Prime Minister, in public discourse, I've never seen him losing out. He marks people, and he will find and wait for his time to actually see to it that people are shown their place. But he goes by with a very, very steady hand when it comes to handling power. He knows how to manage power, how to handle it. I also believe that, given whatever is there, I mean, the only things that is there factually in black and white is Vice President's letter and Prime Minister Modi's tweet. These are the only two things that we have out there in irrefutable sort of an evidence. And everything is, we are trying to fill between the words that are there.
But the PM's tweet, as you said, for the Prime Minister to react like this, it was an extremely terse, you could feel the tension in that tweet.
No, absolutely. And this is what I'm saying. These are the only two pieces of evidence, and this is what we can, hash and break it and try and understand. What I feel is that there is 100%, a degree of annoyance. BJP has, struggled for the past 1 year, and Prime Minister has put his entire political weight to ensure that the stable government is run. He cannot allow Rajya Sabha, for especially, the control of Rajya Sabha being taken over by one person who's not been directly elected, and he is trying to play an independent, with an independent streak, trying to do politics out of that office, which he's not supposed to do. And I believe this is where things went on to a slippery slope, which were irreconcilable. And this is where Prime Minister would have forced to take a step as far as asking him to move out. I also believe that some of his remarks, some of Vice President's remark, were absolutely uncalled for. Those were not the platforms when he, called out the agriculture minister, or the kind of remarks that he kept on making. These were just completely out of place. There are ways in which, see, the president of India, Honorable Murmu Madam, also put in her points when she had a tiff with the judiciary. She said that these are the 13, 14 questions that I need to say,
Yeah.
that I need a bigger Supreme Court's panel to come in and sit on it. And those were very, very pertinent questions. She was not going on every platform talking about it the way. So these offices are extraordinarily protocol driven, very, very tight knit narrative, tight knit communication. It's not a fray office where you can come out and say anything and walk out. There will be, and he was too clever by half. In Hindi, there is a saying, ज़्यादा काबिल नहीं बनना चाहिए. वो बहुत काबिल बनने की कोशिश कर रहे थे, और ये इनको ये चीज झेलनी पड़ी. ये दुख की बात है, but he had to go through this.
But आप ये कह रहे हैं कि कुछ एकदम हुआ है. Unlike this, it may have been building up, but something tipped the scales. Because otherwise, the media would have got whiff of this, as you said. Not that the media gets whiff of much that goes on with in the internal dynamics of this government. But if it was that bad, because Mr. Dhankar was not exactly a sort of wilting wallflower. He was not a low key personality. So you're basically saying, Rajat, that something has happened on that last Monday. And before I come to Sugata, Tehseen, did I see your hand go up? Did you have an interjection? Go ahead. Yeah.
No, all right, I'll just quickly say, look, the way the Prime Minister operates is he generally maintains status quo. You see Manipur, he didn't evoke 356 till the last minute. He hasn't really done that. He said, unless it's politically breaking a party, he doesn't really get behind constitutional bodies as such. He tends to maintain status quo and manage it that way. For this to have gone to this extent, I think was obviously a lot of things under the bridge. It just doesn't happen one day on one petition. And then it was the final straw that broke the camel's back. I mean, seriously, that petition being taken in by the opposition left the BJP stranded, because the BJP was at one point not wanting an open confrontation with the judiciary, and then their own strategy for this to happen completely through the BJP's plans out. So the outgoing vice president was, or did think, that the 60 signatures of the BJP MPs on a blank paper in Rajnath Singh Ji's office were for his impeachment, though it wasn't for his impeachment. He believed that it was for his impeachment. I'm telling you how this has gone.
Well, talking about impeachment rumors against Mr. Dhankar, I want to play out this statement before I come to Sanjay and Sugata by Kalyan Banerjee, who actually says this. And obviously, Dhankar might have been saying this to people who are meeting him now. Kalyan Banerjee of the Trinamool Congress makes two big claims. One, that Rajnath Singh will be the next vice president. And two, that Jagdeep Dhankhar was told that if you do not step aside by 9 p.m., you will be impeached. Take a look at this.
Jagdeep Dhankhar ji was forced to resign by the Honorable Prime Minister and other cabinet ministers. And he was given a threat to the extent that if he did not resign within 9 p.m. on that date, impeachment motion will be brought against him. Therefore, this is a completely a pressure tactics had been given by the Honorable Prime Minister and the other cabinet minister for resigning Jagdeep Dhankhar. This is a completely pressure tactic. This is the way they could do.
And he also goes on to say, unfortunately, that full clip didn't play, that he believes that Rajnath Singh is going to be the next vice president. All right, Sanjay Hegde, this has something to do with what is happening. Finally, it has something to do with this petition against Yashwant Verma. Now, here there are a couple of interesting things. There is the opposition motion. There is the centre's own motion, which Tehseen says Jagdeep Dhankhar believed was going to be an impeachment motion against Jagdeep Dhankhar and not against Yashwant Verma. And there are those who are batting for Yashwant Verma in the Supreme Court, where Yashwant Verma has sought an urgent quashing of both the judiciary, the judicial inquiry as well as the impeachment proceedings against him. What is going on? Yashwant Verma has split clearly the bar in a non-political way, because Sybil, otherwise a critic of this government, is batting for Yashwant Verma. The government is quite happy to impeach Yashwant Verma, but is only irritated that Dhankar accepted the opposition's petition instead of their petition. How are you looking at what's going on?
No, I think the Yashwant Verma motion may have been the last straw.
Correct.
Obviously, since Tehseen has told you so much about photographs and this and that, well, people in high positions have high expectations of how they should be received. And then at some point of time, somebody says, be you ever so high, we are above you.
Yeah.
So that may well have happened. And as far as Mr. Sibal appearing for Yashwant Verma or anybody else appearing for Justice Yashwant Verma, the point simply is this: lawyers don't necessarily fight causes, lawyers fight cases. If people come to you with a case in a court that you practice in, then as long as your fees are paid and you have the time, you are obligated to take it on. That's the cab rank rule according to which the highest traditions of the bar operate. I don't think there is any particular split in the bar or whatever. There is Mr. Sibal, while defending Justice Verma, may have many plans. There may have been the linkage with Shekhar Yadav, Justice Shekhar Yadav, or there may even be this a direct petition against what the 3-judge inquiry committee did and how it did not give Justice Verma a fair share. And these are all legal questions. The politics of Mr. Dhankhar, who also curiously happens to be another friend I used to meet in the Supreme Court corridors before he went on to different offices. Just give me a little moment of digression. I frankly think that the Supreme Court is one of the great clubs of the world. We have 2 or 3 people who have just gone up into some position or the other, and we have a few people who have come down from that position. Those of us who are always in the Supreme Court corridor meet everything and everybody with great equanimity. So I do fully expect that we will have Senior Counsel Jagdeep Dhankhar coming out back like the sailor back to the sea. I do think that he did not anticipate his beheading. He may have gone a bit too far, but when he was told to put in his cards, he put in his cards. Yeah. Others could have made the same situation much more awkward. Imagine if he had said, okay, you want to impeach me? Bring it up. I will have the right to defend myself. Exactly the way that Justice Verma is currently doing. So I have mixed feelings about the Vice President. He's been a friend. I do not approve of what all he has done in his high positions. But when he comes back to the bar, I am always willing to have a coffee with him.
And that's as it should be. But very briefly, you said it may be linked to the Shekhar Yadav case. Now, something very ajeeb is going on here. Jagdeep Dhankhar actually accepted moved on both petitions by the opposition. The petition to impeach Yashwant Verma and the petition to impeach Shekhar Yadav, who's the Allahabad High Court judge who uses a communal slur, and the opposition says he must be impeached. But here is what Dhankhar, on the day that he quits, sorry Sugata, I'm making you wait, but this is a very intriguing thing because it also shows you that it was completely business as usual for Dhankhar. He's giving this whole long explanation for why the motion against Shekhar Yadav is not moving forward. Take a look at this.
In December, a motion under Article 124 was submitted for my consideration for removal of a judge of a High Court of Allahabad. That motion was purportedly from 55 members. I examined that and found that one particular member had signed at 2 places. The result was that the representation, the motion, indicated there are 55 members seeking removal, but actually it was not 55, it was only 54. So obviously an inquiry was conducted to find out from the member who had signed twice, allegedly.
Okay, he's giving some technical explanation for why this impeachment against Justice Shekhar Yadav of the Allahabad High Court is not proceeding. He's giving this statement, Sugata, on the day that he quits. And I think everybody agrees that he didn't know what was coming his way. The question really is, for the BJP and for the government, does it mean anything significant? Dhankar will go back to practicing law. Might he be another sort of Mr. Satyapal Malik type figure who will lash out at the government? Or will his closeness to the RSS prevent him from doing that? And there are other intriguing sort of whispers in the capital right now. You know, the BJP has to take now two critical political decisions. Who's their next president? Who's the next vice president? Sugata?
Yeah, thank you, Barkha. Tehseen has given us a limited edition Netflix script. So, I mean, I will not get into that. But, you know, I mean, I will go with what Rajat and Sanjay ji just spoke. See, I mean, my principal point is that Dhankar had stopped being the constitutional figurehead that he was expected to be, and he had become a boss. That is where his trouble had begun. And from the little that I could gather, Barkha, for the last few months, I could sense the kind of discomfort that there was in the BJP and in the ruling.
Sorry, Sugata, your signal seems to be acting up, but I think we got the essence of. I'm going to request you to. Yeah, can you reconnect? Your signal's acting up, but we got the essence of your opening argument, which is that he had ceased to be the constitutional figure that he was expected to be. Tehseen, you're wanting to come in there. Go ahead. Tehseen?
Just a quick story I heard as a child before I make my points. At one point, with no reference to anybody, there was a temple being constructed on top of a hill. So they had a donkey that would take all the bricks, etc., up the hill, leave it there and come back. So while the donkey would walk through the villages, all the villagers would come, pay their obedience, touch the bricks, give some offering, etc. The donkey thought people were praying to him. One day, after the temple was constructed, the donkey walked through the villages. Nobody paid importance to the donkey, so the donkey started braying. People beat up the donkey. This is no reference to anybody, just a story I had to say. Those who've understood have understood. The point that I'm trying to make is, look, I don't understand. The outgoing vice president was totally not worthy of the chair of the Rajya Sabha. He was a disgrace to the chair, the way he conducted himself, the way he ran the house. This house, the Rajya Sabha, has seen many esteemed vice presidents, including from the BJP, Bhairav Singh Shekhawat. I remember when he resigned because he lost the president's election, his farewell. And I was a kid, and I should read this in those days in the newspaper, and you would have covered this, Barkha, as a young reporter. Everyone across party lines, there was laughter, they didn't humiliate. In Rajya Sabha, it's the upper house, you don't humiliate people. This man was humiliated.
But Tehseen, if you think he was a disgrace to his chair, why do you think the opposition is rallying behind him? Why do you think by the end of his term he was meeting with Arvind Kejriwal? Why do you think he accepted an opposition petition instead of the centre's petition on Yashwant Verma?
Because he can flip. He was in the Congress before, then he came here, then he went there. He was the one who got Salman Khan bail. You are asking a politician, why is a politician swinging like a pendulum? That is what a politician will do. But as for the opposition missed a moment here. Opposition should have said, it should have been the opposition's "I told you so" moment. We told you this guy is not worth it. You still made him vice president. Now look, you've had to remove him. Rather than fawning over him, it honestly looks like a toxic relationship gone bad, where in 50 Shades of Grey, the guy is giving you lots of trouble. And now that he's broken up with you, you're suddenly feeling bad about the toxic relationship and you're crying over him. Like, why are you crying over him? He's the one who was insulting you. So you could have, the opposition should have turned this around more politically and told the government, we told you so. From demonetization to Dhankar, D to D, you keep getting this wrong and you don't consult us. Instead of doing this, what does the opposition do? Dhankar was the best thing.
I think that's very funny, but the problem is the BJP is not conceding that Dhankar was sacked. For the opposition to say, I told you so, either Dhankar or the BJP has to say that he was asked to go. Right?
But that's okay. They say everybody knows. You can look. The Prime Minister's tweet or expose itself says a lot. This is the Prime Minister who J.D. Vance's wife said was the most warm person. And look, personally, the Prime Minister's Shobha, they said it on your podcast.
Yes.
The Prime Minister is, even with his rivals, a warm person. That's his nature. For him to be this cold, like I said, colder than winters in the North Pole, that says a lot.
Okay. Let's bring in Rajat now. Rajat, what's actually going on here? I mean, as you said, something ironclad for the PM to respond the way he did, something ironclad would have broken. Could that ironclad moment of breaking have been all over the Yashwant Verma petition? Or does there have to be more to it than meets the eye?
I think it is Justice Verma's petition, especially given that it was communicated to him that it would be taken up by Lok Sabha, and he still went ahead. And if you remember in his long clarification that he gave, that it is mentioned that if a petition is brought both by Lok Sabha and by Rajya Sabha on the same day, both the houses become custodian of that petition. He was trying to justify his position. But by then, a lot of crossing of the Rubicon events had happened by then, and there was no looking back. And I think that was the trigger point, because see, as I said, Prime Minister has put in his lot of personal political capital to steady the ship ever since the 2024 results, and he has largely been successful. He's successful in setting the narrative for the next 3-4 years, and he believes that he can now sail through without any surprises coming along the way. But if such an important chair of the Rajya Sabha falls prey to politics, that too by just a rubber stamp figurehead, a constitutional figurehead, then that is a bit much. And I believe no amount of RSS, BJP, all these logic fall in place. I mean, nobody, especially the BJP, would tolerate, or the RSS would tolerate any kind of an indiscipline into the broader structure. So people are saying, though this is a shadow boxing that the RSS is doing, are just absolutely uninformed. This is not how RSS also operates.
I'm glad you brought this up, because a lot of people are saying Mr. Dhankar is so close to the RSS, there's something else going on. This is the RSS signaling something. You don't believe that, Rajat?
Absolutely not. See, RSS of all institutions are never personality-centric or person-centric. They want institutions to be of paramount importance. Individuals will come and go the way the former vice president was sitting on the chair and he went. It doesn't affect the RSS's program or its agenda, neither the BJP, which is a political offshoot of the RSS. So I personally feel anybody who's trying to say that it was the RSS which was doing a counterweight for him to do that shadow boxing is absolutely lack of understanding of RSS, lack of understanding of how BJP and the top leaders who've been minted within the RSS setup go about doing business. I just don't find any credence in that.
Okay, let's bring in Sanjay and Sugata. Sugata, I'm hoping you have a steady network. Go ahead if you do. Just quickly make your point before we lose you. Yes.
No, I mean, Barkha, I just wanted to say that, he was meant to be a constitutional figurehead. And I think he became extremely ambitious and became a political player. I'm sure this point has already been made. But the other thing is also that, this whole thing that happened on Monday was just the last nail, from what little I was perceiving over the last 3 or 4 months in the ruling establishment, was that they were very, very uncomfortable with him. And I think that is because, this is my conjecture. I think they were very uncomfortable with him because he was trying to behave like an executive head. And if he is trying to behave like an executive head, then that challenge is being thrown at Modi. And look at the number of public functions he attended, the number of book releases that he has done, the number of travel that he has done. And what was it that he was speaking at all these public functions? Or the commentary, that running commentary that went on the judiciary. So I think he was.
That's very interesting that you say that, because the perception at that time was that he was batting for the government.
No. I mean, Barkha, there's one other last point that I'm just trying to make sense of what I am trying to guess out of this whole thing. And I think he was trying to become an alternate in a very fragile number system in the government. He was trying to become an alternate to forces inside the BJP. I don't agree with Rajat to the extent that, BJP or the RSS is not a homogeneous body. There are factions and there are factions and there are players and there are players. So he was playing a certain game and he was signaling to somebody. And I think it went to his head that he may be the alternative at some point to Modi.
Hang on. You're saying Mr. Dhankar This is a
Yes.
big statement. Mr. Dhankar, according to you, was seeing himself as an alternative power center to Modi.
He was trying to create that. He was trying to signal that. See, if you look at the kind of interventions that he made in the Rajya Sabha, why was he always trying to say that he's a Jat leader? He is a constitutional authority. He shouldn't be saying that. Why was he trying to say that he's a farmers leader? So when he decided to offer his resignation, and he must have said that in an emotional kind of peaked moment, but then they just accepted it. That, see, the reason is that there was some leverage there. There was some vulnerability.
So you do believe that this speaks to some larger sort of ripples within the Sangh Parivar, and when you say the RSS is not homogeneous, what do you mean in this
No,
context?
I mean to say that he was signaling to certain sectors. See, for example, somebody brought up in this debate, he met Arvind Kejriwal, but he did not meet Arvind Kejriwal to invite him to the Rajya Sabha. I think he did something else with Arvind Kejriwal, and I mean the way he was positioning himself with the NDA partners. I mean, I know what he was trying to do with either Mr. Deve Gowda or Chandrababu Naidu, or now with, this man, Arvind Kejriwal. What was he signaling to all? See, that is hard politics. And please don't forget, he is the most controversial vice president in Indian history. No other vice president ever spoke so much. I mean, he was trying to be a power player, and he was caught out in his own game. And in Delhi, the last 6 months that I've been coming to Delhi, and this time I came on Monday, and this thing happened. Something happens when I come. Last 6 months, Barkha, a lot of ministers in the government, a lot of MPs have been telling me that apparently something will happen in the next 6 months. So that was tying up with the retirement debate that Bhagwat had started. And please don't forget, this man, Mr. Dhankar, had also contributed to the retirement debate. He had said, I'll retire at the right time. There was a reel that was running all over.
Can I play that? Can I play that?
He was playing games. He was not being what he was expected to be.
So hang on, you made a couple of very provocative points. You have once said that you cannot divorce Dhankar's political greed, ambition from the larger retirement debate triggered by Mohan Bhagwat, the RSS chief. Secondly, you've gone so far as to say that Dhankar may have started seeing himself as an alternative power center, even a possible alternative to the Prime Minister. Create an impression. And he was signaling to some faction, somebody within the Sangh Parivar, there was a power play at work. Now, I do want reactions to this, but I have two clips to play out. One is this very kind of, we thought at that time, funny comment, or when Dhankar talks about how he's going to retire only if there's divine. Play that clip first. Take a look at this.
माननीय नंद कुमार जी, please, now you may retire. I will retire at the right time. August 2027, subject to divine intervention.
So, I mean, how do we read this clip? Sanjay Hegde, do you agree with, before Tehseen and Rajat come in, do you agree with Sugata that this was all about political ambition, that it went to his head? Sanjay?
That often happens. There's a book called 48 Laws of Power. And the first law is never outshine the master. There were times when he tried to outshine. And, I was just thinking back. We've had a situation in this country where you had a president of India who threatened to sack the prime minister. You had Gyani Zail Singh threatening to sack Rajiv Gandhi. But Rajiv Gandhi, with her 400-seat majority, never got rid of Gyani ji. Today, we have a situation where effectively it has been shown that despite a strong parliamentary system, which is constitutionally mandated, ultimately it is just one or two people who call the shots in the country. The Vice President of India has not always been a friend of the government. Mr. Hamid Ansari and the current Prime Minister, when he came in, had a very uneasy relationship. But at that point of time, there was no question of getting Mr. Ansari to step down. Today, we have come to a situation where within a few hours, a man just packs and is forced off into the sunset. I don't think that this is a very healthy thing to have happened, irrespective of the personalities involved. In terms of precedent, this is not very healthy.
I think I saw Sugata, if with Tehseen and Rajat's permission, just because he's come in so late into the conversation. Sugata, you want to just respond?
I mean, I agree with Sanjay ji. See, but uneasy relationships are very common, Barkha. Here, we don't know something. There's a missing kind of
link. A piece of information. There's a piece missing.
A piece of information. We don't know what this man attempted, because this whole thing was very, very clear that something is brewing in Delhi before September. This was being communicated to a lot of people. And therefore, I think Modi would have tolerated that uneasiness. But if he was trying to sort of do something which would provoke a larger kind of crisis, political crisis, that means, I think he sort of decided to act. And no vice president, I was just looking at a lot of literature, speeches and stuff like that. No vice president ever invoked his caste base. When he sat on that chair. And this man has done that repeatedly, which clearly means that he wants a certain constituency to perceive him as their own. And that constituency is very loud. And also, he's not a Devilal or a Chaudhry Charan Singh as a great Jat leader. He was trying to create that constituency. He was not all of that. And last point, Barkha, if he had the courage, if there was something right on his side, he would have done what Deve Gowda would have done. See, Deve Gowda in 97, when he was asked to step down by his own partners in the UF, he said, I will do it, but I will go to the parliament, explain myself, and then throw in my resignation, which is what he did. So Dhankhar, nobody stopped Dhankhar when he was threatened with an impeachment. He should have said, come to the parliament tomorrow, I will give my resignation, but I'll bloody expose your fellows and then do it.
Hence, I believe that there's something we don't know.
Something which
we don't know.
Yes,
100%. 100%. Every political instinct of mine will tell me that there is still a missing piece of this puzzle. Now, before I take last comments from Tehseen and Rajat, there's been a lot of talk. Sugata's brought in a very interesting element into this conversation about political ambition, how you cannot divorce what's happening with the debate triggered by RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat on retirement, and how garrulous the vice president was. One of the clips that even I had missed was this one from December 2024, when Dhankhar appears in a very aggressive form with Agriculture Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan sitting on the podium talking about farmers' issues. I'll just play this clip and then we'll take last comments. Take a look.
कृषि मंत्री जी, एक एक पल आपका भारी है. मेरे आपसे आग्रह है और भारत के संविधान के तहत दूसरे पद पर विराजमान व्यक्ति आपसे अनुरोध कर रहा है कि कृपया करके मुझे बताइए क्या किसान से वादा किया गया था और वादा किया गया वादा क्यों नहीं निभाया गया और वादा निभाने के लिए हम क्या कर रहे हैं. गत वर्ष भी आंदोलन था, इस वर्ष भी आंदोलन है, काल चक्कर घूम रहा है, हम कुछ कर नहीं रहे.
Now that is a political speech. I mean, when I look at that, that is a political speech. Tehseen, do you agree with Sugata that there's something more going on and you can't divorce it from this, very fevered sort of speculation about who RSS chief was signaling to when he spoke about 75 being the age of retirement?
So I was coming to part 2 of the OTT series, and that had to do with Shivraj Singh Chauhan, which I wanted to bring in. What happened in December was disgraceful. On constitutional posts, you don't do that with ministers. I alluded in the first part what he did with the law minister in parliament and the NJC. He did that. He did the same thing with Shivraj Singh Chauhan. And look at what I said in the first thing. He believed he was number 2. He says that in the speech. I am number 2, which means who's number 3? Prime Minister Modi. Sugata is right. He thinks he's above the prime minister, which does not constitutionally, yes, but doesn't work in our frame of things. Now let's understand what happens here. After this speech, again, Sugata is right. Our man keeps talking about being a farmer leader, more than a Jat leader, a farmer leader. The problem with being the farmer leader is that there is a negotiation going on with the United States of America, particularly on the farm tariffs. He wants to now know what is happening. And on Saturday, he made a speech which most of media missed. And I don't know how media has missed this. This should have got the alarm bells ringing at the PMO and 7 Lok Kalyan Marg. He says in his speech, and I quote him, "No foreign power will dictate to us what we can do." This is when rumors are rife that, listen, the first part of the agreement in August, before the final agreement in September, does waive off substantial duties on imports from agriculture products from the United States of America to India. This is where he makes this speech. Then he allows Kharge to make this entire speech of a peace between Trump mediating and peace between India and Pakistan. This is completely taking the bull by the horns, and this is going to be embarrassment for the government. It's embarrassing for the Prime Minister. This guy is number 2, Prime Minister number 3. But more importantly, it's also embarrassing because you've got to finish up this trade deal, and you don't want India to get sanctions. And he's going on saying all of these things. That is where things had really, really spiraled out of control. That particular speech is again a very political speech where
I think we have the headline of the speech now. No power can dictate to India. His bold message amid Donald Trump claiming credit for India-Pak ceasefire.
Yeah. Here India is negotiating, particularly on agriculture, and the farmer leader, as he may be, number 2 in government about the Prime Minister, is telling what Donald Trump can do. This is a disaster with capital D. And I have one minor disagreement as I end. Look, the only use of power is to use it. If you don't use power, then don't be in power, then run an NGO. Ramji for 3 days sits on the banks of the river asking Varunaji to allow the Vanar Sena to make the Ram Setu. It's only when he removes the Brahmastra, Varunaji takes the form of a man, a human being, and comes on Ramji's feet. You have to show power. If you don't show power, nobody will respect you. You are in politics, and if somebody on that chair thinks that they are number 2, then whoever called up the vice president after the bureaucrat called up, explain to the vice president in no uncertain terms who the boss is.
Well, I think I can see our next House of Cards. I agree with Sugata. Scripted, written, screenplay by Tehseen Poonawalla, which doesn't mean it's fiction. They can have a line saying based on real events. But Rajat, I want to bring you in. Since you said this has nothing to do with RSS shadow boxing, I don't think Sugata is saying that it has anything, that the RSS is in any way sort of puppeteering this moment, but he's connecting it to the larger retirement debate triggered by Mohan Bhagwat. Do you agree with that? Rajat?
No, I don't agree with that.
Okay.
See, RSS, and given that, first of all, he's not, home trained that way. He's not been a proper RSS worker or a Swayam Sevak that way. So he is an outsider, will always be an outsider, no matter what he tries to. He himself says, I've been an Eklavya to Dronacharya. So he can carry on with with that assertion, but I personally don't feel that it is the RSS trying to create levers of power to challenge any kind of formation of power or the incumbent power structures at all. Because it's a crisscrossing mesh of networks that the RSS has. It's not just him alone being being representing the voice of the RSS. And right now, be it the head of the RSS, not Mohan Bhagwatji, but the executive head of RSS, he himself is pretty close to Prime Minister Modi. And Shivrajji, who's on the receiving end of the former vice president, he is so comfortable. He has a very comfortable relationship with the RSS. I don't think, and this has happened in the past. Mohan Bhagwatji has made statements which later on, a lot of RSS leaders come out and try and clarify what he was trying to say. And this happened. The same pattern happened even this time. This clarification and multiple rounds of clarifications happen because RSS believes that there should be no doubt in anybody's mind that there is some hint being given at the top of the pyramid that way. That's where I foresee things. And given this episode, it's a very small blip, small footnote. After today, perhaps we will not even be speaking about it. It has been relegated to the history books. Nothing will come out of it. This nation will move on. The parliament will move on. This was just sort of an uncomfortable relationship that the BJP's tall order found itself in. And they would perhaps, look inward and say, they make a promise to themselves that we won't make a mistake yet again. It's been Satyapal Malik once. It has been this episode now.
Yeah, so correct.
Go back to people whom we can trust, who are cut out of the same cloth,
I-
and perhaps
I
not
will-
experiment too much.
Okay, Sugata, briefly before I give Sanjay a closing comment.
Just
Yes,
because the Jat reference and all that came up, I was talking to a Rajasthan leader today, and he said there's a saying in Rajasthan which says, Jat, Jamai, Behnoi, none of them can ever be yours, so never trust them. So he
Okay.
that was a kind of commentary he was giving on the Dhankhar thing. Jat, Jamai, Behnoi.
No, it's certainly been a kind of, as Rajat said, a kind of second bruise after Satyapal Malik. But Sanjay, that was my question to you. Given that you think he'll be back in the court, he's not exactly a shy guy. Do you believe that he will go on the rampage like Mr. Satyapal Malik did, or do you believe he will quietly come back and have coffee with you in the Supreme Court, canteen?
He can never be quiet. So coffee, he will achieve some laughs, but nothing of that. But I certainly know that he will not be citing Shakespeare and saying, had I but served God with half the zeal I served my king, he would not have in my old age left me naked to my enemies. That's not him.
All right, as they say, watch this space. I have a feeling. Sorry, Sugata, you're saying something. Let's unmute Sugata.
But I think the government, there's some rule apparently which says that if you resign, you don't get a retirement home in Delhi. But I think the government has decided to give him a home in Delhi. So I think he'll be quiet.
Tehseen, you're saying something too? Yeah, go ahead, Tehseen.
Request whenever Sanjay, I just have a request. Whenever Sanjay does that coffee, call Barkha and me out there so we can continue the scripting.
But I tend to think Rajat has a point. Now everything depends on whether Mr. Dhankhar speaks or goes quietly sort of back to his old life. And I think that will determine whether this issue is spoken of again. Now for the BJP, there are still two critical decisions to take. Who is the next BJP president and who is the next vice president? Leaving it there, Rajat Sethi, Sugata Srinivasan, Tehseen Poonawalla and Sanjay Hegde. Always a pleasure. A lot of laughs, a lot of learning, good fun. Thank you so much and see you all soon. It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.